This episode of Muddy River Gems is brought to you by Dot Foods.
I think what it comes down to is the culture and the people.
Our culture here at Dot is like no other. I've never experienced anything like what I've lived with for the last 12 years.
Dot is very diverse.
It is truly a family-owned business, but it is a family inside and out.
You always feel like you matter and you play a big hand in the pot.
There's so many opportunities to make a difference at DOT and really contribute to the success of the organization.
The Adams County Bicentennial Celebration is upon us, and in this edition of Muddy River Gems, brought to you by Dot Foods, you're about to learn about one of Quincy's best kept secrets. Paul Moody, you and your wife, Jane, were teachers.
Yes.
During your career. You're retired now. But you never really got over that, did you? You've been teaching ever since, haven't you?
We have, and it's part of our makeup, and collecting the artifacts, which you'll see in this. We've collected a lot of this.
Oh my goodness.
Including the lunch pails and the bells and the slate boards that we just put a shelf up high and to display them.
Mm-hmm. You and some cohorts of yours have been doing research on one-room schoolhouses in Adams County for decades.
Yes.
And after all that time, you've located where they all are, you've made maps, and you've collected everything we see here in this building that has something to do, was either in a one-room schoolhouse or reflects what it was like in a one-room schoolhouse.
Yes, and the majority of the stuff we collected, but then since friends of ours that have known that we've collected it, said, well, hey, would you like this? So we've had people give us things, and it's all noted in the next to the items, like the big maps over here on the wall, which we'll talk about later. They were given to us because they knew we knew how to take care of them.
Well, get us started here. As you walk in, what's the first thing you see here is Abraham Lincoln, of course, but then bells and diploma. Get us started.
Okay, the picture of Abe Lincoln was given to, the teacher wrote the names of the students in 1931, and they were on the back of the picture of Lincoln.
Ah, okay.
Well, the picture of Lincoln was given to him by the Farmer's Wife magazine. The kids in 31 had to sell 6 subscriptions to the magazine. The subscription was a 5-year subscription for $1. And they got a picture of Lincoln. So, and the list of names, when I finally found it, I gave all the families a picture of Lincoln.
Isn't that nice?
I photocopied that and gave them and then this is a register from that school that sold the magazines, and so all their names are over there, and these are all Camp Point names.
1932.
Yep.
This is an example of what a diploma would look like when you were fortunate enough to graduate from the one-room school.
And that's an 8th grade diploma, and they were really proud. And you'll see a test. We've got a copy of the 1918 test that's on the wall over here, but we'll give you a copy of it.
Can we take a look at it now?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it.
And
I see. Okay. 8th grade final exam.
Yeah. And I like one question there, a math question. The wagon box is 10 feet long, 3 feet wide, 30 inches deep. How many bushels of ear corn will it hold?
I can't figure that out.
Well, the kids today don't even know what a bushel is. And we grew up with bushel baskets.
Well, if you were a farmer's kid, you need to know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the, now we've collected, this bell was hung in the belfry of Highland School. And the person said, well, we can, anything school related we can have. So we got the bell, the clapper, and then all the handbells. Like the big one on top would be, if they didn't have an outside belfry bell, that would be the bell.
The teacher would take that and ring it and go outside and, hey, kind of get back in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's interesting. You took on this project of identifying the schools. How many are still left in Adams County, are still standing?
Okay, in 2012, there were 55 one-room schools standing in Adams County. Yeah.
It's amazing.
But there were 219 total in the county.
At one time?
At one time.
I'll be darned.
And so it's a fourth of them. And, the schools have, we found more schools, because we're doing the bicentennial, the 2025 schools that we missed. And, we found these other ones that we put them in, and then we found that some schools have come down. But it's all,
Yeah, and you have a partner in this. Jane, your wife, is also very involved in this.
Yes.
She's going to help us with this program.
Yes.
So I'm going to go find her, and she's going to take us through a little more, okay?
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
Jane, we talked about the fact that you and Paul were teachers your whole career, and you're still teaching, and what you've done here is show people a side of learning in the rural environment, and in Adams County particularly, with all the 50 or 60 one-room schoolhouses there, or 200 at one time.
Yes.
But what you've done here is you put together a number of displays. And this one, of course, segregation was a real thing, wasn't it?
It certainly was. We have this set up on a Sears desk. The reason we picked a Sears desk is because Julius Rosenwald, a Jewish man, and Booker T. Washington, an African-American man, partnered together to help black communities down south, and they built 4,978 schools across the segregated South for the African American
Rosenwald, by the way, was from Springfield, grew up in Springfield.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so and this talks about, and you have a book there that also talks about, it's called A Better Life for Their Children, how they did that, how that all came about. He was a wealthy man, but he gave a lot of it away for a very good cause. A lot of those old schools are still in the South. They're still standing.
Yes, that's
okay,
wonderful.
Keep us going.
Well, as we know, reading, writing, and arithmetic were very important. And so this area, we just wrote down some things. Language before writing was seen with pictures. Then Spencerian penmanship was absolutely beautiful, with all the swirls, darkened parts of letters. And the only problem was it took a long time. So then Palmer from Iowa came up with what I know I learned with the circles and sticks, a very quick type penmanship. And what we have here, the holes on those inline desks.
Yeah.
These would have been the inserts.
Okay, this would hold ink, I guess.
Ink.
Okay,
yes.
Both of them hold ink. Okay.
Right. And the type of bottles we have here have a spout, and that's how you would have filled the ink.
What a mess.
Yes, that's for sure.
Teachers had a lot to deal with, didn't they?
That's right. And then teachers were proud of their scholars, that's what they call the students, and they'd give them rewards of merit. I know when I started teaching, I called them happygrams, and I thought we invented them, but we didn't. They'd have been around forever. Here's some rewards of merit that are back from the Civil War.
Wow. Okay, so that's like a gold star that a teacher would give them now.
Yes, it might be for good behavior, good attendance, good grades, and it wasn't always just a piece of paper like you see up there. This little book, and it was Spencerian, you see the darker parts on letters.
Beautiful penmanship.
some teacher gave this to a scholar.
Beautiful.
And this one must really have been good. This was a principal that gave it to a scholar for good behavior and manners. Sterling silver.
That kid wasn't me.
Oh, then this is a book from St. Rose, and this little girl, Emily King, went to St. Rose. She's pictured here in the book.
Okay.
And she must have had good penmanship, because if you had good penmanship, you got a Palmer Award pen.
What do we have over here?
This shows you the Spencerian with the beautiful penmanship. We still have something with Spencerian, Coca-Cola. That's
sure.
their type of handwriting.
Okay, and that's the name, that's that cursive style?
Yes,
is that what that
with
is?
A lot of swirls. And then these are just slate books that a teacher may have had. And that was a slate desk that 2 students carried to school. And paper was expensive back then, so that's why they used the slates, because they could mark on it, hold it up and show the teacher, and then erase it and use it again.
Okay, was it chalk that they used on that, or was it?
They chalk, but also we have what's called soapstone that was used, and that's much nicer because some of the chalk, some of the slate pencils would leave scratches, and the soapstone wasn't all dusty. And here's some of the awards with the Palmer Awards, if they did good work. And we were up at a school conference in Iowa, and they had a silent auction, and I bought this tablet, and then I got home and found out that this originated with a family stationery business in Quincy.
Really?
And that was used in a lot of the early
I had a big
schools.
chief as a kid. I did.
So it started here, and even sometimes they do things like take 4-leaf clovers and put them in their little books. And
Paul, the Primrose School near Camp Point was one of the hundreds of one-room schoolhouses, and you're fortunate you have a picture of it here, but you also have this depiction in this map that came right out of that school.
That came out of that school, and this map is dated 1847, and it stops with Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana.
No states west of there. Everything else was territory west of there.
That's correct. It was Indian territory. And the map of the presidents is the first 11 presidents, and that's today we have all of, just a little 8.5 by 11 picture of all the presidents. But this was what they had in 1847.
This is a precious piece when you think how old it is, and it's in very good condition from 1847. Yeah.
And
wow.
These were given to us by a man named whose name was Don McGartland. But
you had a lot of people help you out. You couldn't have done all this on your own.
No,
I want to go in here right now because I want to show the stove, because this is also came from that same Primrose.
The Primrose School.
That's priceless.
The Dennis Flessner is the grandson of W.E. Flessner, whose property the Primrose School was on. And he said, "I'm tired of moving it. It's too heavy."
There weighs a ton. It looks like it does.
It took two men in a big trailer to bring it down here.
Yeah, a teacher had a lot to do. A teacher not only had to teach, but be disciplinary and also keep the fire going, right?
They had to keep the fire going. They had to clean the floor, and they did everything.
Proprietor, absolutely. Yes. These mannequins are precious.
Yeah.
This is really nice in the way you have it set up.
Well, it's to give the idea of what a one-room school would look like, because it is so small. And even though we have about 7 or 8 desks in here, a one-room school we'll see later was 28 or 29 kids, and that's wall to wall.
Yeah. But these are actually out of a one-room school, and this is the way they were in rows like this, weren't they?
Right, and they're attached to the board, and if they're having an activity at night, they can just grab the whole row and slide it over to the wall.
And for cleaning purposes, that's what you could also do. You move it around. Well, let's go back out, because I want you to show me something that we passed by here, and I was curious about. This block of wood was very purposefully made the way it is.
Yes, and it's for teaching geometry. It's part of an apparatus. It's called Hallbrick's apparatus, and it was given to us by Rich Maliff and Don Maliff, because they found it in the attic of the one-room school that was on their property.
In Mendon.
In Mendon, and they had a leak in the roof, so they had to go up in the attic. What is this? And this was up there.
What a lucky
because
find.
the teacher probably put it up there because didn't want to take it with him for summer.
Aren't they lucky it didn't get soaking wet with that leaky roof, because it would never fit together again? And what are these?
Okay, now for the person who's a hands-on learner, if you had to try and find the area of this, they pull it apart and they reverse it, and then you can go length times width.
Okay, and then you find out what a triangle is too at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. Neat.
So,
and these are all for geometry, aren't they? That's what all this stuff is for.
And these today, if you have a visual learner, you have to have hands-on. These pieces are very valuable for the student that has, is not an auditory learner. And including all of the pyramids and
fascinating stuff, and all of it's handmade.
Yes.
Cut.
And it's like this.
Cut and chiseled out. Wow. There you go. Yep.
And it's strapped with leather. It's got hinges, but it opens it up.
And
we've got another one over here.
If we look at the wall behind, you can see there was playtime. It wasn't all schoolwork. There was playtime. There's a hoop. I mean, and everybody knows what a hoop looks like. But still, look at stilts, early stilts, huh?
And those were made with fan belts on the, to keep your feet on. And it was handmade, games. And I do need to talk about, here's another diploma.
Oh, okay. St. Michael's.
The St. Michael's School, and that's still standing. And it's over on, on the north edge of Quincy. And in this is a page out of a McCall's magazine talking about Bibles in the school. And it goes back to 1925.
We'll have more from the Country School Museum right after this.
From our trucks to their lunch trays, to your local hospital, to your favorite pub, and to your kitchen table. For more than 60 years, Dot Foods and Dot Transportation have been stocking the shelves of your hometown. Sure, we've grown a lot, but at our core, we're still small-town, family-run businesses that care about our communities and the people who keep us running. Join the Dot family today and be part of something bigger.
Why work at Dot?
You could list out individual qualities forever.
There's a lot of opportunities. They take care of the employees, they take care of the community.
So our pay, our benefits, it's competitive. Time off, tons of flexibility.
They're willing to work with you to help you advance.
Well, Jane, this is kind of an unusual desk here. It's built in Quincy, but it's for two kids, isn't it?
Yes,
Double
it
desk.
is. And In some schools, if they didn't have a long recitation bench like that, they would use this if they only had 1 or 2 students on a grade level. So, but to have this one built at a foundry in Quincy, 1870s to 1898 period, and it's the only desk we've ever seen with the branch pattern on the sides.
Oh, and that's what we find here. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Very nice.
And a few things on the top here. Nowadays, a lot of students think they have to have a fancy book bag with pictures on it and everything.
Yep.
This was it, a leather strap. If they were fortunate, it had a handle.
Wow, I'm surprised that you still have that. That's
Yes.
precious. That is something. Yeah.
And no lunch pails. There were beautiful colors with pictures. Old tins that maybe lard, tobacco, dried fish, tea might have come in, were later recycled, just like the ones we have around the top.
Up here. Yep.
Some would have been called berry buckets or tobacco tins, but any old tins, parents got something
If it'll hold an
else
apple
in.
and a sandwich, it'll do, right?
That's
what you
right.
get.
Sounds
What's here?
Well, over here, a little history about Adams County. Justin Perigo was the very first settler in the area. The first school that was built was a log cabin in 1825, but when it burned in 1860, then Bluff Hall School, Rock School, was built out of the rock cliffs, and it still stands.
It does. They learned their lesson. Avoid the log cabin, huh?
That's right.
Yep, okay.
And then McGuffey readers were the first ones leveled. And for first grade, it was so difficult because this would have been the primer, and they also had cursive in it. You can see all the words on it. That would have been a lot for a little first grader just starting to read.
It would be very difficult. So there was a local educator who came up with sort of a plan to make it easier, right?
Yes, exactly. That was William S. Gray. He was born in Coatesburg, and he received several doctorate degrees from the University of Chicago and taught there for years. But what I think really got him interested in the Dick and Jane readers that he co-authored was starting teaching in 1904, 1905 at Hazelwood one-room school. He had 29 scholars. These are the grades they were in.
Wow. Aren't you fortunate to have this? And he's a classic.
Yes,
I
he
mean,
is.
a lot of people, everybody knows Dick and Jane, but they don't know he's from Coatesburg.
That's right. And he would have had books like the McGuffey readers with all those words that I think that's why he created Dick and Jane readers with beautiful big illustrations, few words that repeated, you know, to make reading enjoyable for the beginning reader. Not
and apparently
difficult.
it worked because everybody that had, well, generations and generations read that and they all remember it.
That's right.
Fascinating. Paul, this would have been posted in a one-room schoolhouse near the end of the 1890s or in the 1890s. And anybody thinks that these kids were not put to the task. This is tough stuff.
Oh, yes, yeah. And you're talking about the different language drills and the talking about the adjectives and the irregular verbs and you know, it was how to make sentences and put them together and do it grammatically correct. And they the one-room country schools, they had on the wall the charts, and they had to refer to the you know, how these work and how they go together.
Then you darn well better learn it.
Yes.
And you know, if you're going to graduate from the 8th grade, and as we saw a diploma earlier, now these two flags are different. One's much older than the other, but you could tell by the number of stars.
Yeah.
But these came out of a schoolroom, right?
It came out of the Highland School, and between Camp Point and Coatesburg, just north of Highway 24. And this is a 38 star flag, And the one on the right is a 44 star flag. And the 44 star flag was in existence in 1890. And these hung in that school. The picture of Lincoln down here with the students
that we saw early on.
Yes,
yeah.
That came out of the Nicolay family, and the Nicolay's name is on the back of the picture.
Okay, all right, nice tie-in. Yeah,
so it ties together very, very. And that's what we try and do, is tie everything together, and so that there's a story, and everything out here has a story. And one other over here, the oldest book we have is the Nicholas Pike, and it's arithmetic spelled with a K, and it's 1804.
1804. Wow.
And this would have been the math book that Abe Lincoln would have been using. A friend from the Country Schools of America commented, he got all excited because he found a Nicholas Pike book. And the whole book is in there.
That's amazing. And of course you have it protected so nobody can handle it now, but
That's right.
And if they could, it'd be falling apart. But isn't that precious?
Well,
that's really something.
This man from Australia, he got so excited that he got this book, he got his copy of this. And he said he had to pay $7,000 for the book. And so we came home and we looked on eBay. We paid $65.
Hey, you and Jane are planning another part to this complex. And
Yes.
you're not finished with it yet, but you can give us a peek, can't you?
We can give you a peek, and it's going to be hands-on room that
Good.
for the kids to have fun. It's called Kismuth. Keep it simple, make it fun.
Okay, let's go take a look.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Paul, we're in an adjacent building to the museum that we
Yes.
just saw. And I wanted to come in here because you're going to be having tours, maybe school kids come in here for tours, but you're also going to lead out of here for your tours during the bicentennial year of the one-room schoolhouses that still stand in Adams County.
That's correct. And so the each school tour will be by school district, meaning Payson, Liberty, Camp Point, and Mendon. And so we'll be going to different schools that are in that school district. The dates are already set, and then we're going to include the Quincy Public Schools and the Quincy Parochial Schools, because they're just as historical, but they're not the one-room schools. They're the bigger schools.
Right, and the one-room school, we look over at this map here, you've been able to identify through about more than 10 years of work which ones are still standing and where they are, and that's what this map is.
And that's right, and they will be given a map of their school district, and it'll have pictures of the schools that are still standing in their school district. And now we won't be able to see all of them, but we'll have a page there in a booklet that will give them directions to go find it, so they can go.
Yeah. In the meantime, what we have here is we've got this wonderful layout here where you would not be able to fit this into your museum because it just takes up too much room.
Yes.
But this is sort of what the size of a one-room schoolhouse would have been like, and you've got the chairs and the runner desks for it. Terrific.
Yeah.
And you've also got an area over here where the kids can learn what they would have done in their playtime or their craft time or their arts and crafts, whatever, and they can come in here and learn how they would have spent their time. What you got there?
This is the booklet of all of the one-room schools that are still standing. And they will be given these in the directions on how to find the schools.
And you did the research on this,
Yes.
You and Jane did this. Wow.
So
Thank you. Thank you very much. And good luck in the bicentennial year. I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun.
oh, we are, yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a busy year for Paul and Jane. And if you want to look into those tours of the one-room schoolhouses, go to the Bicentennial Committee's website. Now, with another Muddy River Gem brought to you by Dot Foods, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
This episode of Muddy River Gems was brought to you by Dot Foods.